Hi there, Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. In this video, we are going to finish Jain Zar. This is going to be the final part 10 of this little series on this model, and in this video, we are going to work on the base and maybe make some OSL. To get us started, we're going to use a little bit of silly putty to mask off the bottom portion of the model. We're not going to worry about the streamers, as we really shouldn't be too close to those. Now, this is a rough kind of masking. I'm not too concerned about the little Avatar of Cain headpiece thing going on there. So basically, we're going to take some titanium white and some yellow iron oxide. We're going to mix these in roughly a 3-to-1, kind of 2-to-1. 2-to-1, I think, kind of ratio. It's mostly white with a drop or two of yellow iron oxide. It's kind of close to what we've been working with most of the way through this model. And we're basically going to lay this out on the entirety of the top portion of the model, as well as the, the Avatar of Cain ruins there, as it were. And with this color, we're just going to basically lay this out nice and evenly. We're going to try and get pretty much all the little nooks and crannies. Next, we're going to add some phthalo blue-green shade. We're going to add about, I think, 2 drops into this. Give it a quick little mix right in the cup of the airbrush. We're using a Renegade Chrome, spraying it around 25 psi. And with this, I begin laying in this slightly bluer tone onto the model. I'm working around the runes, and we're basically, what we're going to do is we're going to lay it into the eyeballs. I laid into the runes a little bit of the ruins, and with that, I basically am building out towards blue. Add a couple more drops of blue into the mixture, and then lay this down. Now here with this color, you can see we're laying it on the outer perimeter of the base, so that we have this slightly lighter tone in the center, and we're building out to a deeper blue out towards the outer edges of the base. Between each of these little dry or airbrush phases, I am hitting it with an air dryer just to speed up the drying process. Next, we're going to take some more phthalo blue. I believe this is all on its lonesome. I think I threw a little bit of thinner into this just to thin it out a little bit so it wasn't too heavy going on. And this is pretty much just being laid right onto the perimeter of the base just to build up some deeper blue. And with this, the intention is that this is going to be the underpinning for, we're going to take some Agrillian Earth, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to have this crackle appear. When it cracks, we're going to have that blue tones underneath, hopefully. And with this, I'm simply going to use the Citadel texture brush tool thing, spatula thing, and begin laying this on. And I thought I was laying this on fairly heavily, but as you will see as we quickly work our way around, I'm trying to be very careful. I'm just getting this the main flat areas of the base, butting the texture paint right up against the ruins themselves, although I probably shouldn't have put it right up against the ruins, but, live and learn, right? Now, spoiler, it doesn't crackle quite as much as I want. I'm just simply using my finger here just to wipe the edge so that it's not too much texture paint hanging over the edges there, just so it's mostly clean. We're not painting this to a display standard or anything like that, but I do want to try and keep things relatively clean. So once it crackles, you can see the blue right underneath, in between all the cracks, and it is mostly what I wanted. But what I was really looking for was deeper cracks. See on the one part of the base how there's nice deep dark cracks? That's more akin to what I wanted, and it didn't happen. And it's crackle medium. I mean, it's crackle medium giveth and taketh. I'm going to take a little pick here, and I'm going to clean off some of the excess that is around the ruins themselves. And I thought, you know what, let's see if we can peck off some of these little little bits further out from the ruins themselves, kind of just like they've been cracked or dropped out and light is emanating from them, kind of thing. So I figured I'll give it a shot, and I went through and picked a few out just kind of randomly at first, and it's all right. If you're into this kind of look, I guess I think I would have really wanted more of like a lightning, like crackling. Titanium white and transparent iron oxide brown we're going to use here, and we're basically going to mix this in a 3 white to 2 brown, and we're going to base coat the entirety of the Wraithbone runes, as it were. Now, the reason we're using this color here is because it's a little bit different from the rest of her armor, although you may recall previously when we did her armor, we used a bit of this color in it, and so it kind of ties in, and it doesn't feel quite out of place on the rest of the model. As we work our way around, you'll see that I'm avoiding the eyeball, or the eye socket itself, as I want to keep that kind of blue in there, because that's just kind of a guide as far as what I'm doing. And I also leave it on the runes as well, letting some of that blue continue to poke through. I'm going to take some of this transparent brown iron oxide and some raw umber. Those are both transparencies. That's mixed in a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm going to add a drop of flow aid. These are some pretty common tricks of mine, I'm sure many of you are used to. And yes, we are making a shade wash out of this. Now, it doesn't really show up on camera here, but this color actually is pretty close to Snakebite Leather from Citadel Contrast. It's actually got that same kind of value, and it actually, when you thin it out, actually has that kind of yellowing hue to it as well, which is kind of fun. I have to remember this one in case I ever run out of Snakebite Leather. It doesn't flow the same as Contrast, though, because I don't have quite as much medium in here as well. And it's not really the purpose here. I'm just looking to tint and getting those nooks and crannies and the cracks and such like that. And anywhere that's a little too heavy or splotchy or anything like that, I just simply clean my brush off and then pull the excess. I'm also doing a bit of a stippling motion just to create a bit of texture on some of these big flat surfaces. I don't really like the big flat surfaces. It looks a little funny, and I want this to have a visual contrast with the rest of Jain Zar. I don't want this to be smooth like that. We're going back to the titanium white and the brown iron oxide. We're going to take about 3 drops of white and 1 drop of the brown. I'm going to give this a quick little mix. We're getting to a color closer to like Ushabti bone, although it's probably not. It's still got quite a bit of brown quality to it. We're going to use a dry brush here. I wipe most of the paint off the bristles, and I begin dry brushing in the typical fashion. Now, some of you may have been wondering how this paint dry brushes. Well, it dry brushes just fine, like any other paint will, as long as you are not overloading the brush and you are removing a lot of the pigment from the bristles and you are keeping a very light hand. It dry brushes just fine. So, no need to have those kind of questions weighing heavily on your brains. You can see here, I'm just simply moving around. I'm just catching some of these edges here, bringing out the texture. I'm not looking to lay too much of a saturation onto these surfaces. I'm only looking just to get the edges and just bring out all of the texture on the surface. I'm going to jump over to some titanium white, add 2 drops into this the previous mixture, making it probably more like 5-to-1 of the brown. And with this, I'm going to jump back into my number 1 Artist Opus brush here and begin just laying some little edge highlights here and there. Really, it's just kind of a stylized approach. It's not really, like any kind of particular lighting scheme. It's more of just an edge highlight going all over the place and, just picking out points of interest. So once that's all done, you can see how it's all starting to shape up. So now let's jump back into creating some OSL on here. We indicated the beginnings of it. So now we're going to jump into some phthalo blue. We're going to use some airbrush thinner. I'm going to jump back into the Renegade Chrome, spraying it around 20 psi, 25 psi, somewhere around that. And with this color mixture, I'm laying it into the eye socket and then laying it around the outer perimeter. I'm also laying it on top of the Grillian Earth, just giving it a slight tint. And this is just kind of the glow that we're creating here. It doesn't have to be too intense. You can go darker if you like, if it's really kind of your thing. And I'm just basically going to follow the perimeter around. Now with the Renegade Chrome and spraying it around this PSI, we can maintain a decent amount of control, and we can just simply lay the paint where we want it. We're simply going to add a bit more white to this mixture. I don't think we added any white previously, so this is, I think, probably 1 blue to like 3 white, I think it is. And with this, now we're going to start to be a little bit more deliberate where we lay this down. So I want this to have the impression that the runes are where the magic is happening, whatever it is. And also catch the eye socket as well. Just lay a little bit more of that color in there. With the broken parts of the Grillian Earth, I was tempted to pull more out and create kind of big rents in the surface, but I decided against that because I was fine with just a little speckling, as it were, like little breaks in the surface and everything like that. I add a little bit more white, probably more akin to, say, 1 blue to 3 or 4 white, as it were. ratios are kind of relative. It's really just mixed to the eye if it's not, the color you're looking for. I also take a little bit of that excess mixture, slap a little bit onto the palette, and I'm also going to use a bit of Flow Aid to thin this out, and we're basically going to use it like a little bit of like a shade wash, but what we're doing is here we're just touching where the runes are and allowing this color to fill those runes so that we get kind of the glowing rune thing going on. It's a nice easy way of picking these things out and bringing visual interest and keeping it easy and I was going to say safe, but that doesn't make sense. So once that is all done, I think I do a second layer just to build that color up a little bit more. We're going to come in with some more titanium white. We're going to add this to the mixture. 2 drops. I could not tell you what this ratio is by this point. Probably like 6-1, maybe even 8-1. We're going to get the eyeball, and we're also going to do a little bit of edging around the eye just to bring a little bit more of that glow in. And we're also going to hit where the runes meet the base, as it were, as that's kind of like, the source of the power kind of thing. I'm also going to catch some of the runes as well. I'm going to lay a little bit more of this color down. I'm not going to push it quite as far as what we did with the previous color, again, because we want to create that impression of a gradient there. And with this color, we just simply build up more intensity where it's touching, more the front around the eyeball, and then of course in the backside as well, where the runes are broken. And we're imagining, it's some sort of power source coming out of the runes, as it were. We're going to jump over to some titanium white. We're going to slap a little bit onto our palette. No thinners necessary, no dampness of the brush necessary. We're just simply going to lay this onto the eyeball itself, and also a little bit onto the rune. Now I lay a little bit down. And in fact, it's a little bit heavy, so I quickly wipe my brush off and then begin to feather the color out a little bit. And also push a little bit into the runes as well, just as carefully as I could. I basically just take a little bit of water and just kind of thin it out really fast and just push it into those surfaces. But otherwise, that would be it for that. And that kind of gives the impression of a light sourcing, I think. Jump over to some carbon black. These are all golden high flow colors, of course, as we've been working through this series. I'm sure you guys already know that. And with our brush, we're just simply going around painting the rim. And as I was working around the rim, I do apply 2 layers just to get a nice solid black. And then, of course, I also hit it with a Lamy medium, a matte varnish to knock the shine off of everything. But then I come back in and I do the perimeter of the edge of the base with some raw umber hue. I use the airbrush. I didn't show it because I just kind of, was in the moment and decided to do it. And I kind of like how that looks. It deepens it up. It also brings more contrast to the glowing effect. But that is it. That is the end of this model. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this series. A big thank you to all my patrons. Without their support, these videos would not be possible. If you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below and let me know what kind of videos you guys would like to see in the future. And I will endeavor to produce such videos. Take care of those brushes and they will take care of you.